all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahawashi, Bahashim, Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops at Great Millstone. I'm your brother, Rabbi Knapp, coming out with a lesson. Lord's will, this is edifying to the Lord's elect. Let's see what's going on in the news. It says, it's from Al Jazeera. It says, U.S.-Israel war on Iran. What's happening on day 27 of attacks? So we're on, damn, day 27. You know, these days just be flying by. Day 27, he said 3 weeks initially, so it's past the 3 week mark, going on to the 4th week. And right now, he's trying to tell them to surrender, give up, we won the battle. That's what he's telling them. That's what I read in the news yesterday. But we're still in that 5-day period. That 5-day period ends on Friday, the 27th. So we're still within the 5 days he gave them, and we're gonna see if they're gonna give up or not. Which, you know, they all work together anyways. This is all a big show, man. You know, the elder said that today. I was watching this video in the morning, and it's true. It's true, man. You know, all these nations, it tells you in Psalms 83, all these nations are working together. Matter of fact, let's start right there in the book of Psalms 83. Let me read a little bit of this first. It says, the U.S. and Israel's war on Iran continues, with an Al Jazeera correspondent in Tehran reporting strikes are increasing in number and in intensity amid conflicting claims about whether negotiations are taking place. Because that's the big thing right now. You know, they're supposedly negotiating. You know, saying that Duck saying he's talking to somebody over there, and the Iranians are saying they're not talking. But then you Google it, it says that they're indirectly talking through Turkey, Egypt, and Pakistan. So they have some form of communications, you know, so they are talking. But Iran wants to have, he wants to remove all American interests in the Middle East, and that's not going to happen. And then the Duck is telling them that he wants regime change, and that's not going to happen. So it doesn't seem like they actually have a plan that leads to peace. Okay? We go over here real quick to Isaiah 48. Isaiah 48. Isaiah 48. Isaiah 48, verse 22, it says, there is no peace, saith the Lord, unto the wicked. So there's no peace, saith the Lord, unto the wicked. The wicked won't bring about peace. Okay? Everything they do, it has to be around war, stealing, and killing. There's no peace for the wicked. Okay? So we're not gonna, you know, when they say these negotiations, they're looking good, you know, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna work out a plan together. That's all lies. That's bullshit. Okay? So that's why we trust in the Lord's word. See what else it says in that article, matter of fact. It says U.S. President Donald Duck says talks are happening, but Iran rejects the talks, saying it will continue to resist U.S. aggression. Like, even the statements, they're just reading the newspaper, it's really, it's tiring how silly it sounds. They'll continue to resist U.S. aggression. That's what you're supposed to do. He's supposed to keep bombing you, and then you that's how Esau is. He'll tell you to resist, even though he stop resisting. With he got the handcuffs on you. He got you handcuffed and hogtied, and he'll still keep telling you stop resisting. That's what he's pretty much saying he's doing over there. Stop resisting, nigga. You got your knee on my neck. Stop resisting. It says on Thursday, Iran carried out retaliatory strikes against Israel in several Gulf countries as the Middle East conflict sees no signs of ending and global energy and food prices continue to rise. That's good. That's what y'all get. So ain't gonna be any food for y'all either. That's good news to my ears, man. Especially you Edomites. You ain't gonna be able to eat. You're gonna see how it is to suffer through a famine. That's what you caused on the whole world, so that's what your people get. When the food start running out, even if I don't eat, I'm glad your ass ain't going to eat either. Okay, but we know you lack integrity, so you probably start eating your kids. You're gonna start hearing a lot more stories of Esau putting his family to death. You know, there was a couple stories ago he put his family to death in San Fran because the 49ers didn't win the Super Bowl or some shit like that. Killed his whole family. And you black bitches, you're gonna get killed too because you with the so-called white man. He gonna show you that he's a devil. He like you now, but he ain't gonna like you when it's famine time. He gonna eat you because he looks at you just the same way he looks at all his people. Okay, all your people. He looks at your people like they're beasts, like they're something they can eat. That's why he put y'all in zoos and shit like that. That's why I be calling you buddy. Telling you have a great day. That's Esau. Esau does that because he's programmed to think like a damn woke. And you think he's your friend, so when he puts you to death, that's what you get. I hope he kills your black ass. I'm tired of you damn women out there, man. But you're stupid. And it's no fault of your own. It's the system that the Lord put in place. Where you take the father out of the household, and ultimately it's the curses in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. As a matter of fact, let's jump over there real quick. Deuteronomy 28, verse 54, I think. Where's that at? Deuteronomy 28, verse 54, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil toward his brother and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. So that's talking about the so-called black man, most importantly, because the curses are heavy on Judah. They be leaving their family the most. Judah got a big problem with the father leaving the household. That's because of the curses. Okay. So like we just read, saying he shall leave his children. Okay, but he was really tender and delicate at one point when it came to his nation. There's plenty of scriptures where, you know, if an Israelite man saw another Israelite man, he will welcome him to his house just off the strength of that he's Israel. But now, when another Israelite man sees another Israelite man, they're thinking how they can put each other to death. So that's the curses in Deuteronomy 28, verse 54. Like yesterday, I had some Latino faggot nigga call me a nigga. But this is the same type of person. If he was locked up, he'd be blowing rod, and he'd be you know, he feels safe and secure in his car. You know, that's just Jake. They see another Jake, you minding your business. I'm not out talking to anybody. I'm just sitting in the cut, reading the Bible. And that's how niggas are. They just run their mouth. Just like the so-called white man. When they see you, they think to talk shit. I be seeing mad Latinos, even niggas too. Anybody that call himself a Latino, African American, all y'all niggas, man. Stupid ass niggas that need to get put to death. If you don't have this, unless the Lord have mercy on you and you come into the truth. I was a nigga too. I was out there doing the same shit that you niggas do. So that's why I know that you a nigga. It takes one to know one, okay? That's why you can never come into the knowledge of the truth. The Lord got to fuck you up to get down, to humble yourself, to actually go out and teach the word. and suffer the persecution that comes with it. A lot of y'all can't do that. Deuteronomy 28, verse 55, so that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children, whom he shall eat, because he have nothing left in him in the siege. Salakia, I read that wrong. Deuteronomy 28, verse 55, so that he will not, hold on, it's giving me another precept. Let me see what this precept is in Deuteronomy 15 and 9. Deuteronomy 15 and 9, beware that there be not a thought in thy wicked heart, saying the 7th year, the year of release, is at hand, and thine eye be evil against thy poor brother, and thou givest him not, and he cry unto the Lord against thee, and it be sin unto thee. Yeah, so, you know, we had laws in Israel. Somebody owed you a debt, you would allow him to pay off that debt, and you know, if he doesn't pay it off by the 7th year, you're supposed to forgive him. But if your eye be evil, you'll continue to try to charge him, continue to hold that against him. Okay, when we follow these laws, that's what made us tender and delicate amongst each other. But when we don't do that, it makes us enemies. Deuteronomy 28, verse 55, so that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children whom he shall eat, because he have nothing left him in the siege, and in the straitness, wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee in all thy gates. So your enemy shall distress thee in all thy gates. It's happened multiple times. Okay, 70 AD, he besieged you. He stopped allowing food and water to come into your communities. And that's what's about to happen here in your cities. He's going to make it hard for you to eat and drink. So you're going to suffer those same curses in Deuteronomy 28, verse 55 at this point. He's saying you're going to eat your kids. Okay? That's part of the curses too. So when you find yourself sodoring your children to eat them, just know the Lord, you got your curse. You're suffering the curses. That's a sign that you're an Israelite when you start eating your own kid. Alright? That's what's coming soon. There was a meme like a year ago where the woman said, I'm so hungry I can't eat my own kid, or some shit like that. And that's the spirit. A bunch of Jakes were saying that too. They think everything's funny, but there's a spiritual aspect to everything. And the crazy part is some of y'all are going to do that. And it's not going to be a meme anymore. It's going to be reality. Deuteronomy 28, verse 56, the tender and delicate woman among you, talking about you so-called black women, used to be tender and delicate. It says, which would not adventure to set the sole of a foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness. So you wouldn't even put the sole of your foot on the ground for tender and delicate. You don't look at the so-called black woman and think she's tender and delicate anymore. Even though I saw a very tender and delicate woman yesterday. She was gorgeous. Black woman too. But she's still an Eve though. You know, there's some beautiful, honestly, when you look at the best looking black woman, and she makes all these other women look silly. You know, you see the beauty. Some of them still got that gift. Some of them real tender, real delicate, beautiful, elegant. You know, but they're few far in between. It tells you in the book of Proverbs that a righteous woman is it's hard to find, man. It's like rubies. But they out there though. Deuteronomy 28, verse 56. It says, her eyes shall be evil toward her husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and toward her daughter. That's right. So her eyes shall be evil toward her husband. So that's why she is evil towards her husband. That's why she's out dating the rest of the nations. That's why she's with Esau right now. Okay, but that's going to come with a price. Because he's the serpent. He beguiled you, Eve. So what he's going to do is he's going to set you up for the slaughter. Especially when shit gets bad, man. That's why the Lord told you, I'll make a man more precious than fine gold. Okay, Esau is never going to be that. And if he finds himself to be like that, it's because he's probably Israel. But if he's not, a lot of them, they're going to fall. Isaiah 13, verse 12 I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. So making a man more precious than fine gold is meaning he got integrity, just like Job. You know, he went through all these things and he still had his faith and trusted in the Lord. That's what gives you integrity. He didn't sin with his lips. That's what gives you integrity. Esau don't have any integrity. Okay, so he's gonna break. It tells you in the book of Romans, the 9th chapter, that he's a vessel fitted for destruction. Romans chapter 9, verse 20. I'll start at 21. Have not the potter power over the clay, over the same lump, to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor? Yeah, so the potter is the Lord. He has power over the clay, which means Jacob and Esau. And he made them out of the same lump, meaning coming out of Isaac and Rebekah. Okay, but he made one for honor and one for dishonor. So the dishonorable vessel that he's making out of clay is Esau, and the honorable vessel that he's making out of clay is Jacob. Okay, and you're going to see the difference as we get closer and closer to the end. When that destruction, according to Proverbs 16:4, he was created for the evil day. Now let's see if you were running a test with 2 clay pots that you had. You're throwing one off the roof, and you're going to watch it shatter. Then the other one, you're going to put it in your house and put it on the top shelf, so it can always be up there. Why? Because you made it to last a long time, and you made this one just to kick it off of the roof and see it shatter. That's Esau, the one he's the vessel that's getting kicked off the roof. That's going to be broken into pieces. Let me grab this in the book of Proverbs 16:4. If you don't know who Esau is, it's the so-called white man. He's really red though. Proverbs 16:4. It says, the Lord hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. The wicked is Esau. And how do we know that? Because we've thoroughly read the Bible. And when you go to Malachi 1, you can start at 3, where the Lord tells you, I hated Esau. Okay, and then read 4, and it tells you he's the border of wickedness, whom the Lord will have indignation forever. So anyone telling you everyone can be saved clearly don't understand the scriptures. Clearly doesn't. He just reads past Esau. He don't know who is who. He don't know the main characters in the book. He don't know who the righteous is. He don't know who the wicked are. He don't know who the heathen is. That's Christianity. It's all confusing. Okay. We grab this in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 18. And verse number 6, O house of Israel, cannot I do with you as this potter, saith the Lord? Behold, as the clay is in the potter's hand, so are ye in my hand, O house of Israel. So same thing with you. He can destroy some of y'all, 2/3 of you. He gonna put y'all to death. So it don't matter that you're Israel. So you know you were created to be destroyed too. You know the scriptures talk about natural brute beasts made to be taken and destroyed. Speak evil of the things they ought not. That's you. You speak evil of the things you ought not. You shouldn't be speaking evil against somebody who's trying to teach you about who you are and who your God is, because you've been destroyed as a people. But you speak evil because of that, and that's what's going to lead to your destruction. Romans chapter 9, verse 22. What if God, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endured with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction? So that's what he's doing with Esau. He's with much long suffering. He's patiently waiting to show his wrath. So he's allowing him to. He's long suffering because he hates iniquity. Okay, but he's allowing Esau to commit all forms of iniquity so he can fill that bill, so he can show his wrath to the world, so you can know him. Because that's how he's known, just like when he rescued the nation of Israel out of Egypt. These heathen understood who he was. You read the book of Joshua, the 2nd chapter with Rahab. Okay. Then she said, I'm going to grab that, as a matter of fact. Psalms 9, verse 16. The Lord Yahweh is known by the judgment which he executed. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands, Higgaion Salah. So there you go. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands, but the Lord Yahweh is known by the judgments that he executed. Okay, so he executed judgments in ancient Egypt And that's why you even know there's a God, because of the destruction that he brought. And that's why you don't know God now, because he's long suffering. He's hidden. He's doing judgments every single day, but a lot of y'all don't, you can never link it back to the judgments of the Lord. You always give credit to Esau. You always give credit to the devil. You never give credit to the Lord. The Lord does all those things. And he tells you that in Isaiah 45:7. I form the light and create darkness. He's the one that does all these things. Roughly paraphrasing. Okay, Romans, I want to go to Ecclesiastes, the 8th chapter. You know, so he's the one who's patiently waiting to destroy the so-called white man, Esau, Edom. That's why he got away with slavery. And these other nations too. The Chinese man had you niggas in slavery too. The Ishmaelite, the Arab man, he had you in slavery too. That's why I prayed to our God that we could put slavery on them niggas and put them to death. See if they like that. See if Allah helps them then. See if Jesus Christ helps you then. See if that wood and that stone helps you then. Okay? That's what they praying to their God for, to get the victory. That's why he had a propaganda video. You know, Iranians had a propaganda video shooting a statue that looked like a calf, because he understands that he's attacking your gods. He's attacking the small hands God, because he worships Baal. Okay, a Canaanite god. So you know it's spiritual in matter too. The spirits going on out here. Ecclesiasticus chapter 8. Verse 1. Who is as the wise man, and who knoweth the interpretation of a thing? A man's wisdom maketh his face to shine, and the boldness of his face shall be changed. Right? You come into the wisdom and knowledge and understanding. You're not gonna be walking around as a fool anymore, smiling at everything, thinking that being nice to everybody. That shit's a wrap. Your face is gonna change, because you understand now. Okay, there's a difference between us and them. They're going to get put to death, and if I follow them, I'm gonna die with them. So I might as well separate myself. So your facial expressions are gonna be different. The way I look at people now, I look at them as just like the scriptures look at them, like a bunch of different heathen from different nations, 18 nations out of the book. Look at them as transgressors of our laws. I look at them as fugitives, criminals that need to be arrested, that need to be judged for the crimes they committed against our Lord. These laws still apply to you heathen that are out there, and you break them every day. Okay? Even though some of y'all keep some of these laws, but it all comes from us. Any righteous law that you have, that you do, it came from Israel. Okay? Because that's who the Lord shared his righteousness with, his laws with. He shared it with the nation of Israel. He ain't shared it with y'all. So that means you learned it from us. We got it from him. Ecclesiastes 8, verse 2. I counsel thee to keep the king's commandment, and that in regard of the oath of God. That's right. I counsel thee to keep the king's commandment, and that's regard of the oath of God. So we gotta do what the Lord says, but we also gotta keep the laws of the land too, while we over here. You know, just because we have our laws to implement, that doesn't mean we don't keep the laws of the land. We're supposed to keep the laws of the land. We got to keep the king's commandment, which are his laws. Well, in regard to the oath of God, so that means do what the king says, but if it contradicts what the Lord told you to do, like taking that MOTV, you don't do that. Ecclesiastes 8, verse 3, be not hasty to go out of his sight, stand not in an evil thing, for he doeth whatsoever pleaseth him. So the king got power to put you to death. You know, be not hasty to go out of his sight. You don't want to stir up any feathers with the king, you know, especially if you're working around him. You know, you got to watch how you move, man. Because it could be, you got to watch how you move, long story short. You know, if you around a king, you hasty to leave, man, he might look at that as like, what's up with this dude? Now you causing attention to come to yourself, and he might not trust you. You might put yourself in harm's way by being funny, acting funny. Acts chapter 8, verse 4, where the word of a king is, there is power, and who may say unto him, what doest thou? Yeah, where the word of a king is, there is power. Okay, just like when Yahweh Shai was speaking to the Sadducees and Pharisees, and they couldn't come up against them because there was power there. Okay, just like when you Christians come up to the men of the Lord and you get cut because there's power there. There's no power in your, you don't have any authority when it comes to the scriptures. That's why you always, you know, in your eyes, you might think you won, but in the eyes of the men of the Lord, we know you're just a fool. Even if you cut a so-called Israelite man, if he knows the name of the Lord, he already won. Because you heathen can't even come into you don't even know the name of the Lord. So even in a battle, you can't lose if you know the name of the Lord, man. All right? Because these heathen, they're going to be calling on a false name, and that name's not going to deliver them. But the fact that the Lord revealed his name unto you, that shows you got power. So when you deal with people like that, you need to understand that. These people are in gross darkness. Ecclesiasticus 8 verse 5, whoso keepeth the commandments shall feel no evil thing, and a wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment. That's right. Whoso keepeth the commandments. It tells you in Ecclesiasticus 12 verse 13 that the whole duty of man is to keep the commandments. Okay, so you got to learn the commandments, what they are. You gotta study it, you gotta practice it. And then you can understand the Lord is showing you what righteousness is. Then you can extrapolate what the kingdom of heaven is going to be like and why that's going to make it, why it's going to last forever. Because his laws are perfect. Okay? That's why Esau, he reversed the law thinking he's more perfect than the Lord, and all he's done is destroyed this place. That's why your women are out of their damn minds. There's a bunch of homosexuals and faggots. Well, that's all you see. Your kids want to be gay. Your food's defiled. And it's just wicked. It's upside down. Because the laws are not being implemented. Ultimately, it's because judgment's not going out. But the judgment is going out. But the way the Lord's doing it is, he's long suffering with the nation of Edom, and he's fucking you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans up every day for transgressing his laws, because he's getting you prepared for this destruction that's coming. That's why people are doing videos about energy crisis, things like that. Because you about to not have shit. You about to make some hard decisions, man. You about to be, a lot of y'all gonna be homeless. A lot of y'all men gonna be going to war soon. I just did a video on Carg Island last night. So the Iranians, they got mines there. They got shoulder-to-arm missiles for you, waiting for you there. Okay. As soon as you dock on the beach, they got hidden mines under there. They got mines for anti, like tank mines. So even if a tank goes over it, the whole tank will explode. Okay, so he got all of that waiting for you right at the shore. So if you dive in, he got men there that can shoot at you. Okay. So you have fun with that. They say it's going to be strategically risky. And the risk is going to be you, because you don't know where they planted them shits at. Ecclesiastes 8 verse 6, because to every purpose there is a time and judgment. Therefore the misery of man is great upon him. That's right, the misery of man is great upon him, because man talking about the Israelites, okay? Because y'all ain't, what makes you a man is keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. So the man that's out here trying to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, you're miserable because you can't keep them, okay? And it's because judgment's not being executed. When a homosexual comes up to you and asks you at your dinner table with your kids, and you're sitting with your wife, and he comes over there, hi, what would you like from the menu? That can be it can afflict you. Okay? Because his laws say you can't do nothing to that person, and you can't implement your law. But you still got to suffer that. So that's miserable. And that's just one situation that came to mind. What about sending your kids to having a man dressed up as a woman, and he's teaching your kids, and you all the way at work, and you got to worry about if your kid's all right while he's in school? Because the school allowed something like that to be in there, so it's just all defiled. That's miserable. Okay, it tells you in Deuteronomy 22. Let's grab that. Deuteronomy 22 verse 5, the woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are abomination unto the Lord thy God. So understanding that that's an abomination, that makes you mad. But you got to suffer these things because we transgressed against the law. So, you know, according to Micah 7 and 9, we gotta suffer all these things. Ecclesiastes 8 and verse 6 again, because to every purpose there is time and judgment. Therefore the misery of man is great upon him. Yeah, for every purpose there is time and judgment. There's a time for the judgment, man. And the time is coming. He's been long suffering, but that judgment's getting nearer and nearer. That's why the righteous man is going to rejoice in that time, because he understands why these things are happening. He's seeing the reward of the wicked. Okay? Which ultimately the reward of the wicked is the reward of the righteous. When they get judged, you get saved. But when you were being wicked, you got judged and he got exalted. He wasn't actually saved, because salvation is when you get saved from your enemies. But we're gonna get that was part of Esau's blessing too. When you read on Genesis the 27th chapter, he shall break his yoke from off thy neck. So that was a form of that was when we had our yoke on him. When we had the so-called white man in slavery, the Lord broke the yoke that we had on his nation and took it off of him, and he put it on us. And now he's exalted. He had his head down, then his head got lifted up, and our head went down. Now we're head to head with him now. We're telling him boldly to his face that he's going into slavery. Okay? But then his head's going to be going down, all the way down to the dust of the ground. Okay? And then he's going to be destroyed. Ecclesiastes 8 verse 7, for he knoweth not that which shall be, for who can tell him when it shall be? Only the Lord knows when it shall be. Only the Father knows when he's going to send his son to destroy this place. But he left us with prophecy to measure the times diligently to see how close we are to that time. And we're very close. And we've been very close for many years now. All right, so we're getting closer every second, every word that comes out that's talking about Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, because he's going to be exalted in that day. He's going to be the only thing talked about, thought about in the time that he comes, for all eternity. We're always going to be giving praises to the Lord from here on out. Every day, consistently. Okay, but it's starting now. He wasn't getting his praise, but he was still getting his judgment going out. Well, he was getting his praise, but not at the level that he's getting it now. Because he's waking up his men. He got his prophets out on the scene. That's like the Marines that Esau sends when you look up the word Marine, it says they're the spear. So they set them up first, then the army comes. So the prophets are like the Marines. They're coming out, they're surveying the land, they're seeing what's going on, and they're waiting for the military to come in to destroy Esau. But this is a spiritual takeover, spiritual blitz. But he already been pierced with this word. So we came in with the word, set up different altars. Wherever you see an Israelite man speaking about Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, altars are all throughout Babylon. Just like he got Catholic churches, Christian churches in different countries. He uses that to do what he needs to do over there. That's what the Lord's doing with his men. He sent out the nation of Israel to put them in different strategic points all throughout the world as a stronghold ultimately for the elect. So they like the Marine spiritual. Ecclesiastes 8 verse 8, there is no man that have power over the spirit to retain the spirit, neither have he power in the day of death, and there is no discharge in that war, neither shall wickedness deliver those that are given to it. That's right, you ain't no wickedness gonna save you. And he's given over the wickedness. And he don't have power to retain the spirit. So when the Lord calls him, his spirit, it's out of there. It tells you in the book of Luke 16, thou fool, This night thou soul shall be required of thee. Let's grab that. That's what he is. He's a fool. What's that? Luke 16. And I think he shot like 12 or something like that. Forgot where it's at. Nope. That's not it. Or is it 12? Luke 12. And you start at 16 or something. See if I can find it. Luke 12. I'm gonna hold Ecclesiastes 8. Luke 12 and verse 16. Luke 12 verse 16, it says, and he spake a parable unto them, saying, the ground of a certain rich man brought forth plentifully, and he thought within himself, saying, what shall I do, because I have no room where to bestow my fruits? And he said, this will I do. I will pull down my barns and build greater, and there will I bestow all my fruits and my goods. And I will say to my soul, soul, thou hast much goods laid up for many years. Take thine ease, eat, drink, and be merry. But God saith unto him, thou fool, this night thy soul shall be required of thee. Then who shall those things be that which thou hast provided? So is he that layeth up treasures for himself and is not rich toward the Most High. So thou fool. You know, you think you can retain the spirit and you can't. He thought he had riches for many years laid up in a barn. That's Esau. He's storing up riches right now. He think he's gonna go into the bunker and live for many years, and he's good. But you're a fool, because the Lord's going, this night thy soul shall be required of thee. That means you're going to die today, nigga. That's the Lord showing you he got power over the spirit, not you. You thought I could hide. You thought you could go somewhere. It don't work like that. You're doing all this shit in vain. Everybody is dying every single day. There's something wrong with you. You might not got the symptoms of whatever it is, but something's wrong. So if you ain't crying out to the Lord today, there's going to be a time you will. It's going to be too late. That's why he tells you in Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter. Actually, let's jump there real quick. Ecclesiastes 12, verse 1. Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. Yeah, you're going to remember thy Creator in the days of your youth, while the evil day comes not. That evil day is when your ass get judged for what you've done in your body. Okay, so what you want to be doing is hoping that the Lord give you mercy and grace to see the fall of your enemies. Okay, at least make it to that time. You ain't got to be perfect. You just want to see that. That's it. And if you can't, you just hope and pray that, you know, you can't make yourself one of the elect. You either are or you're not. All right, so you just make your calling and election sure. You practice the righteous acts to the best of your ability, and you see what the results lead you. But it tells you in Ecclesiastes, the 2nd chapter, whoever, Ecclesiasticus 10 and 2, 2 and 10. I got dyslexia or something, man. I keep saying everything backwards. Ecclesiasticus chapter 2 and verse 10. Look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded? Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? That's right. Find somebody out that he despised that called upon the name of the Lord. That's what you should find out. That's what the wicked should find out. So remember your Creator in the days of your youth, while the evil days come not. Right now, the evil days come not. We're always in our youth, man. Even if you are old man, you can come into this truth, but it's harder to get into the truth when you're older. That's why you see a lot of, yesterday some old Spanish woman came and gave me a pamphlet. You know, I told her she was an Israelite and she didn't understand what the fuck was going on. What? She was probably thinking, yo, small hat? Nah. She don't know who she is and she kept walking away, passing out pamphlets. So that's showing you that her whole life, she never came into the truth. She's probably a devout Christian that, you know, everyone thinks she's so nice. When she died, they're gonna put on her, on that obituary. She was so nice to everybody. Nice means foolish. She was a foolish person her whole life. She was a fool. Okay, and that's the sad part about it all. You can be a damn fool your whole damn life. And majority of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, that's what you are. Okay? That's what you call a natural brute beast. You were born in vain. Like, just like that lady, she never comes into this truth. But luckily, the Lord had somebody there that told her she was an Israelite. Okay? Nobody would have told her nothing. She would have spent her rest of her day, she got her daughter holding her up. No one told her nothing. Her whole life. Just walking around being a fool. Not knowing who she was, praising her enemy. And that's what's wrong with you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. That's why you gotta suffer these things, and then when you see some little nigga calling you a nigga, you gotta suffer that too. Because he gonna pay for every idle word too. Even though he's ignorant to what's actually going on. He don't know what I'm doing up here. He just thinks I'm standing here and talking to myself like a fucking idiot. Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse number 9. All this have I seen and applied my heart unto every work that is done under the sun. There was a time wherein one man ruleth over another to his own hurt. And that's Esau. He's ruling over the nation of Israel to his own hurt. Okay? He's going to be destroyed for what he's done to the nation of Israel. That's one thing King Solomon's seen under the sun. Esau being judged for what he did to the nation of Israel. Going into Isaiah 34. Going into all of this. And King Solomon is the Lord. All right. Ecclesiastes 8, verse 10. And so I saw the wicked buried, who had come and gone from the place of the holy, and they were forgotten in the city where they had so done. This is also vanity. That's why I saw the wicked buried. Okay. That's Esau. Wicked. Malachi 1:4. Dead. Okay? He's coming and he's gone. And he got a short time. That's why he's on day 27 out there. I didn't finish reading the article. But it's day 27. It's really day 27 for us and day 28 right now. Whatever's going on today. Last night there was a lot of bombings, a lot of killings. You got Israel going into southern Lebanon trying to create a demilitarized zone like they did in North Korea. That's how that nigga steals your land. Look at South Korea. Look at Esau goes to South Korea all the time. North Koreans don't fuck with those Edomites. You can't even go into their country. I don't blame them. I don't blame them, man. It'd be funny to find out if Kim Jong-un's an actual Jake. Because he moved like a Jake. That's how I was doing it too. We know Edomites in my country, man. All right? Call me a dictator, call me what you want. Well, he keeps telling you, he got those nukes for your ass. He don't give a fuck what you Americans think about what he's doing. Nobody gives a fuck what you people think. You're a fucking hypocrite. Look what you do to the Native Americans. Look what you did to the so-called Negroes. Latinos. So why would I give a fuck? When your ass get put to death, that's good. That's what you get. Get your ass blown up. What you thought nothing was gonna happen to you? You clearly don't read the Bible, man. You should read Jeremiah 49:7 all the way to 22. That's talking about Esau. Read the whole thing. You think you shall not go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt drink of it. You're going to drink of the cup of destruction. That's what you were made for. Proverbs 16:4. Romans 9. I think 21 to 23. Let's talk about you. You are a vessel created for dishonor, destruction. But the Lord said he was long suffering. That's why I was going to Ecclesiastes, the 8th chapter. Ecclesiastes 8, verse 10. And so I saw the wicked buried, who had come and gone from the place of the holy, and they were forgotten in the city where they had so done. This is also vanity. That's right, the place of the holy. Ultimately, that's Israel. Okay? They're going to come and go. Luke 21:24 tells you the time of the Gentiles should be fulfilled. That's when that place gets destroyed. Ain't gonna be no Gentiles over there. Okay? That whole place is going to be eradicated. And just like America. Showing you, when hand joined in hand, the wicked shall not go unpunished. Okay? So you want to hold hands with Esau, same shit gonna happen to you. You want to hold hands with Amalek, see you the fuck later. That's what you get. Fire and brimstone. You want to be a sodomite? Fire and brimstone. Ecclesiastes 8 and 11, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. That's right, because sentence against an evil work. Y'all need to be sentenced. That's why I told y'all need to be y'all need to go into court. You need to pay for the sins you committed against the nation of Israel. Not just that, every law that you broke, you got to pay for that. Because the Lord that is not executing judgment, you're fully setting yourselves to do evil. Because the law is not being executed. That's why you nations are proud, talk shit, and the Lord wants it that way so you can run it all the way up. You're about to go through 1,000 years of slavery. You got to pay for everything you've said, done, touched, all of that, stole. You got to pay for it all. And the Lord recorded everything you've done, and he's going to have us executed on you. So run it up. You're going to earn every lash you get, every smack with the rod on your head, every death you get in the kingdom is going to be well-deserved. You're going to say thank you, too, when you busting your shit wide open. How ironic is that? All right? We're going to get that pride out of you. You want to call people monkeys? We're gonna make your head like a monkey. Okay? You want to talk shit about whatever you said. That's what every idle word means. Every comment board scoffer, you're gonna get paid too. See, that's the angels agreeing. They can't wait to get you niggas too. It ain't just me. The spirits that can't wait to get y'all. All right. Can't wait to see you in chains and handcuffs. That's our reward. That's our honor. To do that to you. That's our blessing. To bind your kings with chains and fetters of iron. Ecclesiastes 8 and 11. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily. Yeah, sentence against an evil work will be executed speedily when we get in the kingdom. As soon as you fuck up, frankincense and myrrh, that's all you're going to smell. And then we're going to kill you. Or you were hiding eating pork. Well, that's not a punishment worthy of death. But it depends. You're going to be gods in that time. If we want to put you to death according to the law, hey, that's what it is. Because we understand why you do the things that you do. Okay? And we'll never be able to go off. So if you got put to death by a man of the Lord, you deserved it. Okay? So because that judgment's not executed speedily, like real quick, as soon as you sin, we on your ass about it to execute judgment. We're not going to put you in a holding tank for months on time, feed you and all of this. No, we're going to get the information we need and we're going to execute judgment speedily. It's not going to be a 2-3 year trial where you're going to pardon this and take out certain evidence. Nope. We're considering all the evidence that we have. We're going to be righteous judges, man. And plus we got spiritual power too, so we already know if you're guilty or not. But we're going to execute judgment righteously. Unlike Esau, you can pay him off. We don't want your money. We're going to be more precious than fine gold in that time. Okay, The nation of Israel is a resource within itself. We don't need anything, but we'll have everything at the same time. Ecclesiastes 8 and 11 in the middle. Therefore, the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. That's why you're wicked. Let me grab this in the book of Psalms. And that's why the Lord created you to be like that. So we can execute judgment on you either. All of you. At the same time. That's why you're going into the Valley of Jehoshaphat, which is the Middle East. It's not just you recruiting in the UK and Germany. It's these other nations too, the Middle East. But they're a little more wilder than you. They're signing up. They're willingly signing up. They're ready to get put to death. Psalms chapter 10, verse 6. He hath said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. That's what America thinks. I'll never be in adversity. They'll never come hit us. Missiles would never strike us. This place would never be bombed. I'll never sit as a widow. Me? No, never. That's your mindset. You're proud. You don't think you can be touched. The Lord's going to show you otherwise. Psalms chapter 30, verse number 6. And in my prosperity I said, I shall never be moved. That's right. In your prosperity, you said, you shall never be moved. You're in your prosperity right now. But your prosperity is being shown that it's weak. Your military's weak. Your president is weak. And he's making you look weak. And he's making you weak. That's why he's going to do a draft. He ain't getting you pumped up. You don't even agree to what he's doing out there because it don't benefit you. It benefits Kushner and Lutnick and Vance and all these Edomites. It don't benefit you specifically. But yet you got to put your neck on the line for them. So that's not building your morale. Ecclesiastes 8 and verse 12. Actually, excuse me. Psalms 50. Grab this precept real quick. Psalms chapter 50 and verse 21. These things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such an one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes. So yeah, he kept silence of the wickedness that Esau was doing. But now he's saying, you thought he was altogether such as thyself. You thought he was an Edomite that would forgive you for all the sins that you committed. But he's not. He's actually the opposite. He's an Israelite, okay, number one, and you've been destroying his people. So you think he's going to forgive you for that? His sons and his daughters that you put to death, you think he's going to forgive you for that? He's not going to forgive you, man. He's going to judge your ass. But I will reprove thee, okay? He's going to reprove who Esau, Edom, and set them in order before thine eyes. That's why you see the nation of Israel being set in order according to the law, statutes, and commandments. Understanding the prophecies, getting ready for this battle. Ecclesiastes 8, verse 12. Though a sinner do evil 100 times, Esau's a sinner because what is sin? Sin is the transgression of the law according to 1 John 3 and 4. Who is the law given to? The nation of Israel. Why is Esau a sinner if the law was given to the nation of Israel, you might ask? Because Esau has the law. He has the book. He has the temple. He has the churches. He has the understanding. The prophets out here breaking it down too. So now he's a sinner. He puts his hand on the Bible and takes oaths. Okay? So everything that's written in this book, that's why he put his hand on the Bible. That's what makes you a sinner. Okay? I forgot what year they made the law of the land. What president did that? So this shows you he's a fool. All you dumbass Edomites that put your hand on the Bible, I don't know if Duck did it or not. He's still a sinner too. Whether he put his hand on the Bible or not. He even made his own Bible. So he put his name on it. Okay, and he don't follow the law, statutes, and commandments. So he's a sinner too. All right. What year was the Bible said to be the law of the land in America. And what president said that? President Ronald Reagan proclaimed in 1983 as the year of the Bible in the United States on February 3rd, 1983, recognizing the Bible's influence on American history while not designating it the formal legal code. He described it as the rock on which our republic rests. So if this is the rock on which the republic rests, you got a lot to pay for. You can thank Ronald Reagan for saying that in 1983. Ecclesiastes 8 and 11, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. Though a sinner do evil 100 times, and his days be prolonged, yet surely I know that it shall be well with them that fear God, which fear before him. That's right. So though sinner do evil 100 times, 100 is really 10, is perfection. So perfect number of times. Okay, it shall not go well with him, man. It says, and his days be prolonged. So even though he's done wickedness 100 times or for a perfect amount of time, he in his days be prolonged because he's still in rulership. I mean, the so-called Negroes came here in 1619. So what's that? That's 400 years, 406 years you've been here. Okay? When you first came here on slave ships, and you niggas are still here. And what has he been doing since you've been over here? He's been raping, robbing, murdering, killing, oppressing, talking shit. So he got a long list of crimes he committed against us. So he gonna pay for all of that. That's just the tribe of Judah. Never mind what he did to the Native American and the Latino man. Okay? Never mind all of that. Not never mind that, but it adds on to the destruction this nigga deserves. He's a sinner. Even when his slavery is against the Bible too. You get a Hebrew servant, you're supposed to serve 7 years, you're supposed to let him go. On the 7th year, excuse me. Like the Jubilee. Even his debts, you ain't supposed to charge a Hebrew man usury. None of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are supposed to owe this nigga anything when it comes to interest. Okay? So he got paid for that too. And since he said it as the rock of the republic, he got paid for all of that, and he can't pay it back. Ecclesiastes 8 and 12, though a sinner do evil 100 times and his days be prolonged, yet surely I know that it shall be well with them that fear God, which fear before him. But it shall not be well with the wicked, neither shall he prolong his days, which are as a shadow, because he feareth not before God. And y'all don't fear God, because if you did fear God, you would keep his commandments. So a lot of y'all don't fear God. That's why you got Salem. You go to Salem, there's a whole damn witch thing over there. Bunch of witches. All of them wear black, a lot of Gothic, because they're black. They actually practice dark magic, black magic. That's them. Okay? They don't practice the righteous acts because the Lord ain't dealing with them. They understand any wicked Edomite is actually, in my opinion, they're being exactly what they should be. Bunch of devils. You know, stupid ass Africans too. They practice that, and them dumb ass Haitians too. Haitians be practicing that African shit too, but they're Israelites. They got a lot of Africans mixed in with them. That's why they act like that, like stupid ass Africans. Okay, I don't fuck with no stupid ass Haitian either, unless they've repented and came into the truth. But majority of them are reprobates. Okay, because they were the priests of the Lord. So the Lord put a reprobate spirit on the Haitians. Isaiah 65. There's some wicked. There's a lot of Haitian agents too around, especially here in Boston. A lot of them niggas are agents. Isaiah 65, because they're reprobates and they serve the so-called white man. Talk about being scared of the so-called white man. Go look at a Haitian. Them niggas are scared as hell as Esau. These are the same people that fought him in the time of the Maccabean period. You wouldn't think a Haitian would be like that. Especially during the French Revolution. They fucked them niggas up. Look at them niggas now. Them niggas are scared as hell. And he just revoked their visas. So he about to send them back into Haiti. And the reason why you getting sent back is because you ain't a man of the Lord. You're supposed to be learning this truth. I'm going to try to talk to a bunch of you Haitians. You reject the Lord. You believe in the so-called white man. That's why you're going to get deported. And ultimately, you're going to get put to death. Isaiah 65, verse 20. There shall be no more thence an infant of days, nor an old man that have not filled his days. For the child shall die 100 years old, but the sinner being 100 years old shall be accursed. That's right. Sinner being 100 years old shall be accursed, because the righteous, we gonna be living forever. Okay, being 100 years old in a fucked up body, man, that's a curse. Okay, let's read that again. As a matter of fact, Isaiah 65 verse 20. There shall be no more thence an infant of days, nor an old man that have not filled his days, for the child shall die 100 years old. So how can a child die 100 years old? That doesn't even make any sense. But what that's saying is, a child, you're not gonna die. First of all, when we get into the kingdom, when we get those new bodies, we're gonna live forever. But some people use that. Well, you see, a child shall die 100 years old. No, that's not what that's talking about, man. Okay, that's going into immortality, and that's talking about you're gonna be. A child can't be a 100-year-old child. Okay, that's going into when we're in the kingdom. But the sinner being 100 years old shall be accursed, because you're going to have all types of pains and shit. Okay, because ultimately, we're going to have the laws, statutes, and commandments written in our inward parts. So we're never going to be able to sin. So we won't be considered sinners. You guys will still have the chains of darkness. Okay, you're going to be still suffering things in the body. Even though you're going to be living a lot longer, you're going to have those pains. That's perpetual. That's not your blessing. That blessing belongs to the nation of Israel. That's why, we're happy that Jacob, I'd rather go through hell to have an everlasting rest. Esau couldn't do that. He sold his birthright for a morsel of meat. He don't like to suffer at all. That shows you how weak and no integrity. He don't have any integrity. And that's how they are as a nation. It's the book of Romans, chapter 2. And verse number 5. But after thy hardness and impenitent heart treasurest up unto thyself wrath against the day of wrath. Wrath against the day of wrath and revelation of the righteous judgment of God. That's right, revelation of the righteous judgment of God. When that gets revealed, you're gonna see it. You're storing it up for the wrath for the day of wrath. You're stirring up your sins. Not stirring it up, you're adding to it till you be destroyed. Okay, so that's why it's not going to go well for the wicked in that time. So it's time to go. Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse, as a matter of fact, I'll finish it. There is a vanity which I done, Ecclesiastes 8, verse 14, which is done upon the earth, that be just men, unto whom it happeneth according to the work of the wicked. Again, there be wicked men, to whom it happeneth according to the work of the righteous. I said that this also is vanity. So there's a vanity which is done upon the earth. Vanity is worthlessness. That there be just men or righteous men, unto whom it happeneth according to the work of the wicked. So sometimes righteous men do wicked things. Again, there be wicked men, to whom it happeneth according to the work of the righteous. And sometimes the wicked do righteous things. I said that this also is vanity. So it's all vanity at the end of the day. Okay, so it's the same thing. Why? Because you're both going to die. The righteous get judged down here just as well as the wicked. Okay? That's all vanity. That's why we need to be changed. All right? Into into perfection, so we don't have to worry about getting put to death anymore. Like the wicked do. There's going to be a great gulf fixed. We're not going to be like them anymore because we're not going to be wicked. Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse 15. Then I commended mirth. Mirth means, you know, having a good time, going to enjoy yourself. He said he commended it. Because a man have no better thing under the sun than to eat, you too, and to drink, and to be, all praises to Yahweh, but to eat and to drink and to be merry, for that shall abide with him of his labor the days of his life, which God giveth him under the sun. So the Lord's basically saying, you know, enjoy your life, man, while you got it. You know, I wouldn't overdo it, but there's nothing wrong with going out and enjoying yourself, but there's a time and place for all of that. You got to use judgment. We're in an evil time right now. You got to be circumspect. You know, if the spirits tell you don't go somewhere, don't go. But, you know, stores are still open. You can still go to there's baseball games. There's, you know, people still go to bars and things like that. That shit about to be a wrap. But you still gotta understand the times that we living in, man. People are struggling. Gas prices are up. You know, the Philippines are threatening about energy crises. They said they have 45 days fuel reserve. How many days does America have fuel reserve? He just opened the reserve. He just let out 170-something million barrels of gasoline. So that's for a time where, so he ain't buying fuel from these other, he's actually going into the stockpile now. Okay? Now he'll tell you whatever because you believe him. But you ain't gonna have Cuba, where's the oil at? You know? Cuba just went into a pretty much an energy crisis. They can't even go pump gas. You over here complaining about the gas prices, the gas prices, but they can't even get. They have oil and they can't get it because Esau is he's besieging them. And the same shit gonna happen to you. You're gonna run out of oil. There ain't gonna be no gas over here either. Just like the 1973 oil crisis. Same thing. They're gonna tell you they're gonna have to put mandates on how to delegate the fuel. So the whole economy is gonna get shut down, and you got the white plague around the corner, which is a form of tuberculosis that's resistant to antibiotics. That's spreading in America right now. All right. And that's it. I was reading about that. That shit can fuck up your. That shit can go to. It's a weird type of disease, man. Because it comes in the form of a cold, but it could actually be. It could fuck up your kidneys, your liver, have you pissing out blood, and it's hard to detect. And they said over like 100 people in New York have been diagnosed with that shit. A resistant form of tuberculosis they call in the white plague. So, you know, that can cause shutdowns too. Ecclesiastes 8, verse 16. When I applied mine heart to know wisdom and to see the business that is done upon the earth, for also there is that neither day nor night seeth sleep with his eyes, then I beheld all the work of God, that a man cannot find out the work that is done under the sun, because though a man labor to seek it out, yet he shall not find it. Yea, further, though a wise man think to know it, yet shall he not be able to find it. Right. Because there's just so much. The wisdom of this world is too much, man. Okay? You want to seek out everything, you're not going to be able to find out everything, man. We're going to know that in the kingdom, though. Okay, because we're going to be going into everlasting. So that type of wisdom is only reserved for an immortal type of people, man. Right? Someone that lived hundreds, even though the elect, you know, spiritually, we've always been here since the beginning. We that's why we're smarter than y'all when it comes to the scriptures. Because we're more spiritual than y'all because we were created before y'all. All right. Romans chapter 9, let me finish this up. In verse 22, what if God, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endured with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction, and that he might make known the riches of his glory on the vessels of mercy, which he had afore prepared unto glory, even us, whom he hath called, not of the Jews only, but also of the Gentiles. Now it's going back into the Jews and the Gentiles, going back to two Israelite groups. Okay, both Israel. Okay, they all got the ability to come into this truth and be a part of that elect. Not Gentiles from the different nations, or only the Israelites from different nations who found themselves raised up in different nations. They still got their promise, even though they don't know that they're Israel. Okay? But the difference between them and Esau is he's here to get destroyed, but the elect, they're going to be exalted. And I'm going to end it there. Lord's will, this was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Achak Wadash, Shalom, Abba Ball, and Kwam Yasharala.